But it's certainly real. It's using an energy field and what we probably would say is electrogravitic. And whether it is a purely extraterrestrial origin or a mix of an ancient human extraterrestrial development.
Something strange was pulled from the sky in early 2025, a perfectly round metallic sphere that no one could explain. Now Dr. Stephen Greer has revealed new findings that could change how we think about alien contact.
The object gliding with purpose until it struck high-voltage power lines and dropped to the ground.
This isn't just another UFO story. It's physical, it's tested, and it's raising serious questions. Could this be proof we're being watched, or something even bigger? Join us as we explore the latest updates on the alien sphere that has scientists, skeptics, and believers talking. A 12,000-year-old mystery. In early 2025, something strange appeared in the skies over Colombia. Witnesses filmed a smooth metallic sphere zigzagging through the air in ways that didn't match any known aircraft. It moved fast, changed direction sharply, and eventually came down after striking a power line. What happened next would raise more questions than anyone expected. The object was quickly recovered. It looked like a solid metal sphere. No seams and screws, no signs it had ever been made with tools. But what truly made this object different wasn't just how it looked or flew, it was what was found inside. Researchers opened the sphere and discovered something surprising. A bit of organic resin. Basically, a kind of ancient tree sap hardened over time. This was unusual because resin doesn't usually show up inside machines, especially ones made from layered metals and complex wiring. The resin was sent to a lab at the University of Georgia for testing. Using advanced carbon dating methods, scientists were able to determine its age with impressive accuracy. The result? The resin was over 12,500 years old. To put that into perspective, that's thousands of years before the pyramids, Stonehenge, or even the earliest cities in Mesopotamia. This was a time when humans lived in small groups, hunting and gathering during the last ice age. So, what does that mean? It means either part of this object, at least the resin, comes from a time when modern technology didn't exist, or it means someone or something used a material that old on purpose. That alone challenges what we know about history, technology, and even human capability. Adding to the mystery, the sphere had an incredibly advanced design. 3 metal-like outer layers, fiber optic-like wiring inside, and a center core surrounded by smaller microspheres. Some scientists believe this could be part of a communication system or even an active probe, possibly used to collect or send data. If that's true, and if this object really did come from a time before recorded history, then we're looking at 2 major possibilities. 1, it's a relic from a highly advanced ancient civilization that somehow vanished. Or 2, it came from somewhere else entirely. Either way, the discovery of the Booga sphere and its 12,000-year-old resin is unlike anything we've seen. And it might just be one of the most important clues we've found in the search for understanding our true past, or who might be watching us from beyond it. Design beyond earthly technology. When scientists first examined the Booga sphere up close, they noticed something very unusual, something that didn't match any machine, drone, or aircraft ever built. It looks like it was made from a single solid piece, which goes against how we normally build anything, especially something with internal systems. Even more surprising is how light the sphere is for its size. Measuring just over a foot in diameter, it weighs far less than expected, just around 4 pounds when it was first recovered. Later measurements showed the weight increasing without any change in size. That alone confused experts. It's as if the object can adjust its own mass, something we currently have no way of doing. Inside, things got even more puzzling. X-ray scans showed a layered structure with metals that haven't been clearly identified. But what stood out was how clean everything looked. There were no tool marks, no scratches, no leftover materials from any kind of assembly process. It's as if the object wasn't built, It just exists. These details pushed some scientists to ask a big question. What kind of technology could make something like this? One possibility being considered is that the object was designed using principles we don't fully understand yet. Some engineers have suggested it may use gravitational or electromagnetic systems to move and function, far beyond anything our current aircraft or satellites can do. Think about that. Every machine we've ever built needs engines, fuel, or at least visible parts that help it move. The Bugosphere shows none of that. And yet, it flew, filmed in the sky performing maneuvers no human aircraft can replicate. The fact that it's lightweight, but still able to change weight, suggests it may use some kind of energy field or internal system to manipulate its surroundings. This isn't science fiction. These are real observations made by actual researchers. If it turns out that this object can control its own gravity, then we're looking at a breakthrough that changes more than just aerospace. It challenges how we understand physics itself. Right now, the sphere is being studied in controlled environments. But what's clear is this: the materials, the design, and the behavior of the Bugosphere show no signs of coming from any known country, lab, or private company. Fiber optics and alien engineering. As researchers continued examining the Bugosphere, the focus shifted from the outside to what was hiding within. What they found inside this object was nothing short of mind-bending. Using high-resolution scans and microscopic imaging, scientists uncovered an internal structure far more complex than anyone had expected. At the heart of the sphere, there's a small core, what some have casually referred to as a chip. Surrounding that are multiple layers of tiny, glass-like strands that closely resemble fiber optic cables. These aren't random wires, they're neatly organized, branching out in patterns that suggest some kind of network system. Even more intriguing are the 18 small spheres arranged around the central core. They're not just floating there. They appear to be connected, possibly acting like nodes in a communication system, working together with the central unit to send or receive information. Now here's where things get strange. Nothing inside looks like the kind of circuitry we use in modern electronics. There are no microchips, no soldering, and no printed circuit boards. Yet the setup seems intentional, engineered, not accidental. Everything inside points to a device built to function actively, not just sit there. That's led many experts to believe this isn't just a piece of metal. It may be an operating system. In other words, it might be a probe or a sensor, designed to observe, record, or even communicate, possibly with others of its kind, or with something far beyond Earth. The fiber-like strands, in particular, suggest high-speed data transfer. We use fiber optics in internet cables and advanced communication systems because they transmit signals fast and with very little interference. Whoever, or whatever, built this object seems to understand those same principles, and possibly even something more advanced. Some engineers noted that the layout inside the sphere feels like a biological system, almost like nerves inside a brain or blood vessels in the body. That raises a new question. Is this machine purely mechanical, or does it combine organic and synthetic elements in ways we don't yet understand? While there's still debate over its exact purpose, one thing is clear. The Bugosphere's internal structure wasn't made by accident. Whether it's sending signals, gathering data, or waiting for instructions, it appears to serve a function. A landing site unlike any other. After the Bugosphere came down in Colombia, the team investigating it didn't just focus on the object itself. They also studied the spot where it landed. What they found there was just as strange as the sphere. The area around the impact site didn't look like what you'd expect from something falling out of the sky. There was no fire, no scorch marks, and nothing appeared to be burned. But something was definitely wrong. The ground was completely dry and lifeless. All the grass had turned a pale color and crumbled to dust. The soil itself was brittle, almost as if it had been drained of moisture. This wasn't just a case of heat damage. In fact, There was no sign of high temperatures at all. Instead, the field showed signs of extreme dehydration, but without any visible force to explain it. No flame, chemicals, and trace of pressure or impact. It was as if something had simply pulled the water out of the earth. Scientists studying the site suggested a possible explanation, though it's only theoretical. One idea involves a type of energy most people haven't heard of: charged particles, specifically ones that carry a negative charge. In theory, a focused stream of these particles could remove water from an area by altering how moisture behaves at a molecular level. This kind of energy, if it exists, hasn't been used or even fully understood by human science. And yet, the field shows clear signs that something unusual happened. Months after the landing, the same spot remained dry and barren. New grass didn't grow back. The soil still refused to hold water. That's not something that happens naturally, and it's not what we'd expect even from typical aircraft or satellites coming down. What's important here isn't just the damage, it's the type of damage. It suggests that the sphere either gave off some kind of unknown energy as it landed, or that its presence alone altered the environment in a way we don't currently know how to replicate. This strange pattern of environmental change adds to the growing list of things about the boogosphere that don't match any known technology or natural event. The landing site might not tell us who built the sphere, but it gives us a strong clue that whatever this object is, it operates using forces we're only beginning to notice. The sphere that changes weight. One of the most surprising things about the boogosphere isn't just what it's made of or how it was built. It's what it keeps doing after being recovered. When researchers first weighed the sphere, it came in at around 4 pounds, surprisingly light for something so solid. But that didn't last. Over the following weeks and months, the weight slowly increased, first to 16 pounds, then over 20. The most recent measurements show it sitting at around 22 pounds, more than 5 times its original weight, yet the size hasn't changed at all. No parts were added. Nothing was taken apart. It's the exact same object, but somehow it's heavier now. This kind of behavior doesn't happen with normal materials. Under standard conditions, mass doesn't change unless something is added or removed. So when an object increases in weight while staying the same size and shape, it raises big questions. Scientists began looking into possible explanations. Some believe the sphere might be using unusual energy fields, possibly electromagnetic or gravitational in nature, to control how heavy or light it becomes. These kinds of systems aren't science fiction. We already use electromagnetism in modern tech, but using it to alter an object's mass? That's beyond anything currently available in engineering. If the sphere really can shift its own weight, it might help explain how it moved in the sky. Changing mass could let it hover, change direction instantly, or even resist gravity, all without engines or wings. This would be a completely new kind of motion, one we haven't yet mastered. The fact that this change happens without any external input is just as strange. No one's flipped a switch or activated a mechanism. It appears to be happening on its own. Almost like the sphere is responding to its environment or operating on an internal system we can't access. Some researchers have even suggested the sphere may be waking up or adjusting itself as it adapts to being here. That's just a theory, of course. But it shows how unusual this behavior is. There's no clear explanation yet. This unexplained weight shift has added another layer to an already complex case. The boogosphere doesn't follow the rules of normal physics. It's doing something new, something that's forcing scientists to think beyond what's possible with our current understanding of mass, energy, and movement. Monitoring device or lost tech? As researchers continued to study the boogosphere, one idea kept coming up. What if it wasn't alone? The internal structure of the sphere, especially the small network of components and what looks like data pathways, has led some scientists to wonder if this object might be part of a system, not a one-off artifact. Its build suggests it wasn't just made to sit still. It seems designed to do something, maybe record, maybe transmit, maybe both. This brings up a big possibility. It could be a monitoring device, not like a camera or a microphone, but something far more advanced, built to observe its surroundings in a way we don't yet fully understand. Some believe it might be gathering environmental data, tracking movement, or even measuring changes in Earth's energy fields. The fact that it seems so self-contained, no obvious battery, no antennas, no visible ports, adds to the mystery. It doesn't match anything we currently use for communication or tracking, and if it was made long ago, how is it still functioning? That leads to a second possibility. Maybe the sphere isn't new technology at all. Maybe it's very old. Some researchers think it could be a relic of a forgotten civilization, one that had a much deeper understanding of energy and materials than we do today. If that's the case, it would mean human history is missing a huge chapter. On the other hand, if the sphere isn't from Earth, we could be looking at something extraterrestrial, a probe sent here for long-term observation. Not a spaceship, but something more subtle, meant to blend in and operate quietly. That would explain why it wasn't meant to be seen, and why it only came to our attention after an accident. No one has found a way to turn it on, if it even has an on switch. And so far, there's been no confirmed signal sent from it, but the structure inside strongly suggests function, not decoration. The parts seem too purposeful to be random. Whether this object was left here on purpose or simply lost over time is still unknown, but what we do know is this. The Bugosphere shows signs of being built with intention, possibly to connect with other devices, respond to outside signals, or just silently observe. Greer's claim versus scientific caution. Not everyone agrees on what the Bugosphere really is, or what it means. On one side, people like Dr. Stephen Greer see the object as a clear sign that we're dealing with something not from Earth. Greer has long investigated unusual aerial encounters and advanced technology. To him, the design of the sphere, the materials, and the strange changes in behavior are too advanced to dismiss. He believes this could be evidence of intelligent life, a message, a probe, or a piece of alien hardware that's finally been found. But not everyone is convinced. Dr. Julia Mossbridge, a cognitive scientist with a background in neuroscience and physics, has taken a more careful approach. She's not saying the sphere is fake, but she's not ready to call it alien either. Her concern is that we might be jumping to conclusions too quickly. From her point of view, it could be something less extraordinary, like an advanced art installation or a misunderstood scientific project. She's asked important questions. Do the flight videos actually match the object recovered? Has anyone independently confirmed the internal tech? Without clear answers, she urges people to keep an open mind, but not assume too much. Then there's the involvement of journalist Jaime Maussan, which has added another layer of complexity to the story. Maussan has spent decades reporting on strange discoveries, from supposed alien bodies to mysterious aerial footage. To his supporters, he's a passionate truth seeker who brings these findings to the public. To his critics, though, he's made too many claims that later turned out to be unreliable or disproven. His history with controversial stories makes some people question the credibility of this case, even if the scientists involved are respected. This has created a kind of split in the conversation. Some people feel the sphere is being taken seriously for the first time, studied by labs, universities, and engineers. Others worry that past controversies and unproven claims are distracting from what could be a legitimate discovery. At this point, the debate is less about belief and more about evidence. Everyone agrees the sphere is unusual, but what it is and what it means depends on how much solid, verifiable information can be collected. Antarctica's buried UFO. An anonymous former pilot, claiming to have worked under the U.S. Antarctic program, came forward on social media with a story that shocked many. According to this person, a massive unknown object was discovered deep beneath the Antarctic ice during a scientific dig. something that did not look natural or man-made. The account describes a routine ground survey that turned into something far more mysterious. A research team reportedly used ground-penetrating radar, a tool that helps scientists see what's buried underground without digging. What they found was a large, perfectly shaped disk, metallic and unlike anything ever found in that part of the world. As the team began digging, the shape became clearer. It wasn't just a rock or a glacier-covered formation. The object was smooth, rounded, and embedded high up on a mountain, deep in the ice. That's when, according to the pilot, military units were brought in, and the operation quickly shifted from scientific to classified. The dig site was sealed off. The team was told not to speak publicly. The object, the pilot claims, was eventually moved to an undisclosed location for further study, its exact nature still unknown. No official records of the event have surfaced, and the story remains unverified. But even so, the details have stirred real concern. Why would a research mission suddenly be taken over by the military? Why the secrecy? If the object is just a natural formation or debris, why move it in secret? This isn't the first time Antarctica has been the center of strange claims. The region is remote, largely unexplored, and harsh. It's not hard to imagine things being discovered there that the public never hears about. But if the pilot's story is true, then it raises big questions about what might be hidden beneath the ice and why it's being kept quiet. Some believe it could be connected to the boogosphere, part of a wider pattern of hidden technologies and unexplained discoveries. Others say it's just another unconfirmed tale, made larger by imagination. Either way, this Antarctica claim adds another layer to the larger mystery. Whether it's a forgotten relic, a crash site, or something entirely different, the idea of a buried craft beneath the ice keeps pushing curiosity and concern into new territory. Strange shapes under the ice. As technology gives us new ways to explore the planet, some of the most curious findings aren't coming from field scientists, but from everyday people looking at satellite images from their laptops. In recent years, users of Google Earth have been scanning Antarctica's icy surface and sharing unusual discoveries. What they've found is hard to ignore. Strange disc-shaped patterns, unusual geometric formations, and structures with near-perfect symmetry, all buried deep beneath the ice. These aren't blurry shapes or random shadows. Some of the images show clear circular outlines or even rows of objects that appear too organized to be natural. One of the more talked-about examples shows what looks like a large metallic disc, partially exposed by melting ice. Another image reveals a pattern of shapes that some say resembles the layout of a structured facility. To be clear, these are satellite photos, pixels from space, not physical evidence on the ground. But many of these images raise legitimate questions. Could these be natural formations shaped by glaciers and time? Or are we looking at the remains of something artificial, long hidden under ice that's been frozen for thousands of years? Some researchers have pointed out that Antarctica's ice is constantly shifting, and strange shapes can form from the movement of snow, rock, and ice. But others argue that the regularity and symmetry in these images don't match what nature usually produces. The real mystery is how deep these objects go and how old they might be. If any of them turn out to be artificial, they could date back to a time before the last ice age, when parts of Antarctica may have been ice-free and even habitable. That possibility has caught the attention of not just UFO researchers, but also historians and scientists interested in lost civilizations. Could these structures be ancient ruins? Could they belong to a culture that existed long before recorded history? So far, there's no confirmation, just compelling visuals and a lot of speculation. But the fact that anyone with an internet connection can explore and question these images has opened up a whole new way of investigating Earth's hidden corners. While we can't say for certain what these shapes are, the discoveries made through Google Earth suggest that Antarctica still holds secrets, possibly waiting beneath miles of ice. Whether natural, ancient, or something in between, These anomalies remind us that there are still places on Earth where the story isn't fully written. Military tanks in Antarctica? Antarctica is supposed to be a place dedicated to peace and science. According to the Antarctic Treaty, signed by dozens of countries, no nation is allowed to set up military bases or carry out weapons testing on the continent. It's one of the few places on Earth meant to stay free from conflict. But recent discoveries have raised new concerns. Satellite images shared online appear to show large tracked vehicles, shaped like tanks or heavy machinery, sitting on or partially buried in the Antarctic snow. Other photos highlight what look like structures or equipment that seem out of place for scientific research stations. While these images aren't crystal clear, their shapes, sizes, and arrangements have led many to question whether military equipment is secretly being used in areas that are officially off-limits. Some believe these could be old supply vehicles left behind from earlier research expeditions. Others think they may be part of secret operations that aren't being publicly disclosed, possibly related to underground facilities or long-term studies that have nothing to do with science. This is where the controversy begins. If these are truly military machines, it would mean at least one country is violating the treaty, possibly hiding advanced research or guarding something unknown. The Antarctic Treaty has no global enforcement agency, so unless a country openly admits what it's doing, the truth can stay hidden beneath layers of snow and silence. What makes this more puzzling is how remote and harsh the environment is. It's not easy to move heavy vehicles across Antarctica, especially in areas far from the known research stations. That suggests purpose and planning. Some speculate that these vehicles could be protecting something under the ice, or involved in large-scale drilling or excavation work. There are also those who think these sightings are being blown out of proportion, perhaps mistaking natural formations or equipment from old missions as something more than they are. Without ground-level investigation, it's difficult to confirm what these shapes truly represent. Still, the timing of these images, alongside reports of buried objects, strange structures, and mysterious discoveries, has added fuel to ongoing theories that not everything happening in Antarctica is purely scientific. Whether it's misidentified equipment or signs of something more secretive, the presence of these machines in such a protected zone keeps the mystery alive. And it raises a larger question: what's really going on in the coldest, most isolated place on Earth? Are we already being visited? When you step back and look at everything together, the strange metallic sphere, the changes in its weight, the unusual energy around its landing site, and the reports of hidden objects beneath Antarctica, a bigger picture begins to form. And it's raising serious questions. Are we witnessing the signs of something greater already happening? Many scientists and researchers are cautious. They don't want to jump to wild conclusions. But the collection of findings, from lab-tested materials to unexplained technology, doesn't fit neatly into any known category. And that's what makes it so compelling. If the boogosphere was found alone, it might have been dismissed as an odd machine or a clever hoax. But paired with other discoveries, such as satellite images of symmetrical shapes under ice and stories from whistleblowers about sealed-off dig sites, it starts to look less like isolated events and more like pieces of a puzzle. Some experts believe this could be early evidence of a monitoring system, something that's been quietly operating for a long time. Whether it's watching the planet, studying life on Earth, or simply recording data is still unknown. But the idea that it was never meant to be found is gaining attention. Others believe we might be uncovering traces of an advanced civilization, possibly one that came before us. A society that once had knowledge of energy and technology far beyond what we know today and left behind tools or machines we're only now beginning to detect. And yes, there are those who consider a third option: non-human intelligence. The idea that Earth is not as isolated as we've believed, that someone or something may have been visiting for a very long time, not to invade, but to observe from a distance. So far, we don't have solid proof of any of these theories. But the growing list of unexplained objects, patterns, and behaviors is forcing even skeptics to take a second look. This isn't about science fiction anymore. It's about following the data, no matter where it leads. What's clear is that we've entered uncharted territory. Our technology is now good enough to capture what older tools may have missed. And as more information surfaces, the idea that we are alone seems less certain. Whether these findings point to visitors from beyond or lost knowledge from long ago, one thing is clear. We're only at the beginning of understanding what's really out there. Thank you for watching. What stood out to you most? Drop it in the comments. If this sparked your curiosity, like and subscribe so we can explore more together. See you soon.